to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that you're with us on this Saturday morning, because when you hear the cry of no justice, no peace, you know this is where the action is. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. The chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm attorney Michael Hardy. Will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We are so pleased today to have with us for our inspirational word, Reverend Greg Merriweather. He's the senior pastor at Calvary Baptist Church of Rockland County, New York. Of course, if it's Saturday, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house. And if it's Saturday, our dear sister, Katrina Jefferson, special liaison to Reverend Al Sharpton, and the coordinator here for all things at the House of Justice is back, and she's gonna ask, what's on your mind? That's right. She wants to know what you're thinking about. And I tell you, brothers and sisters, there is so much going on across the world, across the country, in your own communities, across the state and cities, that there should be something that you're thinking about that's on your mind that you want to share with Katrina Jefferson. If you've not had a chance to share anything with her, you can still do so. We can email her at what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call 877-626-4651 and let her know what's on your mind. Once again, the president and founder of the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. So you want to call somebody and tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton in the house, getting ready to come to you. We start this morning on a sad note. Want to give condolences to the Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts of Abyssinia Baptist Church. Everyone has heard of his passing. A great Harlemite, a great man, a wonderful leader, and a good friend to so many. We love him, and we give our condolences to his family and his members on his passing. Also want to give condolences to one of our lifetime members, Barbara Johnson. She passed. She'd been in the hospital, but she passed within the last 24 hours, so we want to give condolences to her family. And at the same time, I want to thank all of the attorneys and everybody who participated in Legal Night. It was our last Legal Night of the year. We'll be back on the last Thursday in January. But in doing so, we want to give a special condolence to the passing of Al Gentry. Many of you may know him. He is one of the members here at National Action Network, but he was part of the backbone of Legal Night, was always here, always helpful, always helped make Legal Night a tremendous value to those who participated. So our condolences go out to all of those families. Also, I want to remind you that on Monday, October 31st, that is Halloween. So I don't know if you're coming in your costume or not, but the Nan Youth Huddle will be meeting on Monday, October 31st, here at the House of Justice Auditorium. Please spread the word. Get into the action with your youngest and brightest, dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. That'll be Monday, October 31st, 6 p.m. right here at the House of Justice, the Youth Huddle Experience. Call 877-626-4651 or email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. for more information on the Youth Huddle Monday evening, 6 p.m. here at the House of Justice. And we always remind you today at 5 p.m., tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m., tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. That is Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC today at 5 p.m. and tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. Right now, brothers and sisters, Dr. Alvin Conlon, the Executive Vice President of the New York City chapter, will come give you some additional information. Let's give him a welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Harding. Good morning, brothers and sisters, listeners and viewers, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. Reverend Sharpton participates in Viacom Town Hall meeting. Reverend Al Sharpton joined civil rights leaders Mark Morial of the National Urban League and Derek Johnson of the NAACP for a town hall meeting held by Viacom. Employees of the company engaged in a discussion with the leaders about race and diversity issues. Student debt relief application launched. Last week, the White House launched the Student Debt Relief Portal. Listen, the online application, is designed to provide up to $10,000 in relief to borrowers with federal student loans and up to $20,000 in relief to borrowers who are Pell Grant recipients. Borrowers who earn less than $125,000 as an individual or $250,000 as a household in 2020 or 2021 are eligible for relief. Let's go over that again. Borrowers who earn less than $125,000 as an individual or $250,000 as a household in 2021 or 2020 are eligible for relief. Now, according to the White House officials, the application takes less than 5 minutes and is available in English and Spanish on desktop and even your mobile devices. You can apply for student debt by visiting studentaid.org. One word, studentaid.org. Loudmouth documentary hits the city of brotherly love. Loudmouth, a documentary that traces Reverend Al Sharpton's activism across the decades, will preview in Philadelphia on today, Saturday. The documentary tells the story of a civil rights leader, Reverend Sharpton, determined to fight social justice. Are you ready to vote? Early voting begins today in New York State. Yay! Well, condolences. The National Action Network and Reverend Al Sharpton expresses our condolences to Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts III, the longtime pastor of the historic Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. Reverend Sharpton said he was an educator and a pastor of the highest level. He served both duties for decades. We found ourselves differing at times, but we'd always come back together. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook and National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. And for more information and to join, you may visit www.nationalactionnetwork.net and just call 877-626-4651. Again, that number is 877-626-4651, or you just text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ponder. Hey, right before we move on, I want to give a very special belated happy birthday to our dear sister, Jay Spencer. It's always present, always here, and we want to wish her a very happy belated birthday. Right now, brothers and sisters, it is that moment when Katrina Jefferson is here to ask what's on your mind. Good morning.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are listening to us by way of WLIB 1190 AM, to those that are here live at the fantastic House of Justice in the great village of Harlem, and to those that are watching by way of our live streaming platforms, which is Facebook and our website. Welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the community, have the wide open opportunity to interact with the National Action Network by sharing your thoughts, your viewpoints, your concerns. Maybe it's something that you overheard in the news or a conversation you heard while you were in the barbershop this week. Well, guess what? This platform is for you. And we invite you to email us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us briefly what's on your mind today. Let me get back to my spot.
Good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My name is Sister Reverend Warren. I'm from Heaven, born in Harlem. I'm 71 years old and new. Of course, what's on my mind is Bible scriptures. I've heard a lot of news today. And one thing we're learning is that voting takes a lot of courage. And our ancestors obviously had courage to get us the voting rights. Now we have to really pull up our courage to actually vote. And for those of us who really are undecided, obviously we want justice and we want peace. We want people who are going to strive and pass laws for justice and peace. We know who we got to vote for, and like I said, and I will say it again, Christ Jesus supports democracy. So do your best. Today's early voting. Do your best to get your courage up, and let's vote for the right people who will support democracy. God bless you all.
Yes, and just a friendly reminder, early voting begins here in the state of New York. And if you are outside of New York and you need assistance finding when your elections are or where your poll sites are, you can contact the National Action Network at 877-626-4651. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
My name is Reverend Fasson McClellan. This is Breath Awareness Month. And for those that might feel lonely, those who are going through, those who are thinking that there's nobody there, I want to say to you that we're here and we're praying for you. Just keep the faith and God will see you through. We are continuing to pray for all, and it's Breast Awareness Month. Prostate cancer, breast cancer. There's so many cancers. We have to learn as a people to take care of ourselves. So continue to be blessed, and we're praying for you. Bless you.
Amen. All right, we're going to go to an email. I see we'll take one other person in the line, and then I'm going to the emails. This one comes from an Elizabeth Olatunde out of San Antonio, Texas. Good day to you. I hope this finds you well. Congratulations on many levels. The first Asian Black Vice President of the United States of America. Finally, the first Black female Supreme Court Judge of the United States of America. My heart is smiling as I type those 2 lines above. Thank you for all the good that you do. You are deeply appreciated. For years now, I've been wanting to contact you. Then last year, I wanted to thank you for visiting Texas regarding the border and the horsemen. It was too emotional for me to bear that I could not finish a letter to you and send it. My point today is to thank you, and after the midterms, we'll touch on 2 ongoing issues. The midterms is upon us, and we must really work harder this year than before. Reason being, the ill-intended ones are up their sleeves in how to win the House, etc. If they get what they want, they will set us back 100 years. As you continue the work of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King started, Upward Christian Shoulders song comes to mind. For every light we continue to shine on this world to make it better in progress. I am so thankful for you, Reverend Sharpton, and all the good you do. Godspeed. Sincerely, Elizabeth Olatunde, visionary out of the great state of Texas. Good morning Give us your name, share with us where you're from, and let us know what's on your mind today.
Good morning, my name is Linda Thomas Woods. I'm from Suicide Bedside originally. I'm now residing in Boogie Down Bronx. I just want to say, I've been voting since Shirley Chisholm ran for president. I turned 18. I rock the vote every time I can. And you know, the qualification for being the president, don't you have to be with a high school diploma and over the age of 30. So there's many more people out here that qualify for that position. Think about it. Make a change.
Thank you. And we're going to close out this weekend segment with another email from Brother Sean. Happy birthday, Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone celebrating their birthdays during October, also known as the Halloween season. Here's what's on my mind. Why do so many pumpkins associated with the evils of Halloween, then many just get thrown away? When I researched on the internet, I found out the benefits of pumpkin include increase in antioxidants and mood and immune-boosting properties. Pumpkin seed is a rich source of polyphenols and other bioactive compounds that may act as chemopreventive agents against cancer. Pumpkin seeds and pumpkin oil have become popular treatments for the reduction of prostate enlargement. Come to think of it, the pumpkin also looks similar in shape of the male prostate gland. The takeaway? Pumpkins have more value than just representing Halloween fixtures. No pumpkin, no peace. Brother Sean. And that concludes this weekend's conversation on what's on your mind. Keep in mind, everything that you heard here were simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you can interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651, or you may mail in your thoughts. Back to you, Attorney Hart.
All right, Katrina Jefferson, thank you. And just want you to know, don't want anybody 30 years old to get your hopes up about running for president because you have to be at least 35. Just in case you're out there and you're thinking about it, the minimum age for president is 35 years old. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to bring you in the House. Dawn Jones is head of our Political Action Committee, and she's going to bring us in the House. And the House is all about the work of the committees here at National Action Network and the work that they do. Dawn Jones heads up the Political Action Committee. Let's welcome her.
Greetings, House of Justice, family and friends, and happy Saturday. I greet you with the joy of Jesus. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We welcome you all to the Saturday Action Rally experience. We thank our fearless leader, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, for his dynamic leadership. I also would like to lend my deepest condolences to the family and friends of the Abyssinian Baptist Church on the transition from labor to reward of their beloved pastor, the Reverend Dr. Calvin O. Butts, and Nan Woman Auxiliary Member Barbara Johnson, also Al Gentry. My name is Dawn L. Jones, and I am a National Board Member and Chairwoman of the National Action Network Political Action Committee. The National Action Network Committee will hold our next scheduled forum on today, Saturday, October 29th, 2022 at 12:30 p.m. The program begins. Every fifth Saturday we host for October is National Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Fifth Saturday Voter Education Forum Project Series on redistricting with a discussion on New York 2022 local ballot measures. A huge part of our committee's efforts center around voting rights and voter registration, not just in election year, but on the local level as well. We hosted a voter registration and information drives in front of the House of Justice with the Nan Disability Committee every Saturday during the months of May, June, July, August, September, and October, up until the voter registration deadline this month. We will continue to register voters at Rikers Island with Victor Pate, chairman of the Nan Second Chance Committee. Our fifth Saturday Voter Education Forum will be held right here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem on today, Saturday, October 29th. The purpose of the forum is the further discussion of the racial justice ballot proposals. The forum will provide useful information on the upcoming elections and will help you learn about the 4 referendums that will appear on the ballot. The topics will include different ways to vote, key dates, and voter resources, how your organization can get involved and get out the vote, recent changes in voting laws, the 4 ballot measures that will appear on the ballot, and what is at stake and who is on the ballot. Our next scheduled meeting is on Saturday, November 19th, 2022 at 11:30 a.m. right here at the House of Justice. The Political Action Committee is a forum to discuss issues that affect the membership, as well as inform members about current legislation on the city, state, and federal level. The Nan PAC is also a forum to recruit and train volunteers for political activities. Our meetings are held on the 4th Saturday of the month right here at the House of Justice. It is the goal of this committee to provide the network with a platform that will identify our agenda and issues, embrace and promote them in the faith, community, labor, and political arena. Vote to elect who will represent you. Early voting begins on today, Saturday, October 29, 2022, to Sunday, November 6, 2022. If you or anyone else you know would like to be a part of the Political Action Committee, please contact Nan PAC at 877-626-4651, 212-281-3518, or 690-3070. The National Action Network Political Action Committee is covering the 4 ballot measures in New York City for Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. In 2022, the NAN Political Action Committee will be covering the local ballot measures that appear on the ballot for voters, the 100 largest cities in the United States within state capitals and throughout California. This election day, when New Yorkers vote, they will be asked to turn over the ballot and vote on 4 ballot measures that would make important changes to New York City's charter and the way that government works, and the purpose of laying out foundation for achieving racial equity. Ahead of New York City's general election on November 8th, the Political Action Committee will be hosting a voter education forum project series on today, that's Saturday, October 29th, 2022 at 12:30 p.m. The program begins. You can review the coverage scope of the local ballot measures project here at the House of Justice. This year, the project scope includes New York City at our 4th Saturday monthly meeting last Saturday here at the House of Justice. Nan PAC is also covering a section of policing-related ballot measures and election-related ballot measures outside the largest city at our 5th Saturday Voter Education Forum Project Series right here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem. That's on today, Saturday, October 29th, 2022 at 12:30 p.m. Program begins. The November general election is here. Voting is the bedrock of our democracy. It shapes the kind of city, state, and nation we become. Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. This month, the United States House of Representatives, Senate, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, State Controller, State Assembly, Senate, and Attorney General, also other local seats are on the ballot. To learn about these offices on the ballot, stay for our 5th Saturday Voter Education Forum series with Councilwoman Gail Brewer. Also, 4 ballot proposals will be up for vote, so it is important that you remember to flip your ballot. Learn more about each proposal by staying for our 5th Saturday Voter Education Forum Project Series with panelist Diane Burrows, President, League of Women Voters. Ballot Proposal 1, Clean Water, Clean Air, and Green Jobs Environment Bond Act 2022. Ballot Proposal 2, Add a Statement of Values to Guide Government. Ballot Proposal 3, establish a Racial Equity Office Planning Commission. And Ballot Proposal 4, measure the true cost of living. Starting today, you can early vote in person ahead of the election day. Early voting polls will be open for the schedule. After the rally for our 5th Saturday Voter Education Forum will be panelist Barbara Edmonds, Director, District Council 37. Your poll site may have changes, so it's critical that you check your poll site location before you vote. Early voting location may be different from your election day poll site. To locate your poll site, stay around for panelist Professor Wallace Ford, Medgar Evers College. For more information on how to vote, NewYorkCityVotes.org. Stay after the panel for panelist Nicole Yearwood, educated voter. Election day is November 8th. It's a civic holiday. Time off to vote may not be available for early voting. Your voice matters. May your voice be heard, and make a plan to get to the polls. All souls to the polls. Thank you for your attention. Have a blessed weekend. We wish you peace, justice, and blessings. Stay tuned for Attorney Michael Hardy. No justice, no peace.
All right, thank you, Gordon Jones. Right now, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house.
I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said, He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, He shall not slumber nor sleep. For the Lord is the keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand, upon thy right hand.
That is our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by the Change Choir and musicians. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to continue with our voter education today. We're so pleased to have Julie Ty with us. She's the president of the New York League of Conservation Voters and the Education Fund. She's going to come and talk to us about flipping the ballot and really understanding those propositions that are on the ballot. Let's welcome her.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's a privilege to be here in the House of Justice. It's my first visit here. And I want to thank the National Action Network for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. I'm a little shorter than everybody else. I'm so excited to hear so many people talking about the election coming up. Starting today with early voting, it's really critical that people get out and vote. We at the League of Conservation Voters Education Fund have just started a new campaign called Our Vote is Our Power, and we want to make sure that everybody is getting out to vote because that is really how you make a difference. I want to emphasize the fact that your polling location may be different from where you voted as recently as August. Because I know I looked up this morning where I'm voting and it's a different early voting location than it was for the primaries. So it's really critical that you take a look at that before you go so you don't get frustrated and waste your time. So I'm here today to talk about ballot proposition number 1, which is the Clean Water, Clean Air, and Green Jobs Environmental Bond Act. It's $4.2 billion that will be available for investing in the environment, and critically, at least 35% of those funds are required by law to go to disadvantaged communities, right? So that is a real investment that is focused on making sure we're getting to communities of color and low-income communities that are all too often burdened by pollution, burdened by the impacts of climate change with heat and with flooding. And there's a whole bunch of different projects that's going to fund. Some of the items that'll be funded out of that include moving us to clean school buses, which we know are polluting our kids when they go to school, and more importantly, the communities around where those bus depots are. We know that we're going to be investing in community projects such as community gardens and urban tree trees, which can help lower the temperatures in neighborhoods that don't have enough trees, right? Which means that you're much cooler, and that's actually the #1 threat of death for people associated with climate change. We're going to be having funding that will help us get lead out of our pipes. It is not just Flint, Michigan that's happening. In the state of New York and the city of New York, there are still lead pipes that lead to people's homes and buildings. So there's millions of dollars in there that will help us to get those lead out of those pipes and make sure that people are getting clean drinking water all across this state. We're going to make sure that there's funding that will help us to fight climate change, that will help reduce the pollution associated with greenhouse gases, and make sure that we're protecting our communities from flooding, because that is really, really a burden to people who are close to the coastlines, and we know that there's impacts that people can't afford to deal with, and we need the government to go in, make their communities and the shorelines more protected from flooding and from heat. There's also going to be jobs created associated with this. We estimate that there will be almost 100,000 good-paying jobs generated as a result of this bond act. That's right. Those are real benefits that we can bring home. So we know that there's going to be investments in clean water, investments in parks and open space, investments in our environmental justice communities, because that is really what we need to be doing. We need to be putting frontline communities at the leading edge of where we're making our state investments. So I want to encourage you to flip your ballot over and vote on the propositions there. There's 4 of them. This one, Proposition 1, is the first one across the entire state of New York. I will just caution, if you're in Nassau County, it's on the bottom of the ballot. It's not on the back, but everywhere else in the state of New York, it is on the back of the ballot. Again, early voting starts today, October 29th. It runs through Sunday, November 6th, and Election Day is on November 8th. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, thank you so much. Right now, once again, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all you could ask for things, according to the power He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able. Oh, yes, He is. Oh, He's able. Come on and say, God, He's gonna fulfill every promise. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't. Anybody know today that the Lord He's able? We say, He's able. Say, He's able. Say, He's able. He's able. He's able. He's able. Yes, He is. He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly above the God is. He's able. God is. He's able. Whatever you need, whatever you want, look to the hills of the time God. He is. Yes, He Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. Don't you dare give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God. No, no, no.
Minister Tyrone Richardson, our musical director. Once again, brothers and sisters, we are so pleased to have with us today for our inspirational word, Reverend Greg Merriweather. He is the senior pastor at Calvary Baptist Church in the great county of Rockland County, New York. Let's give him a welcome.
I am beyond grateful and honored to be here on today. I am thankful to the Lord, to our founder, our leader, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and to our chairman, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, all of God's people here on today. And do me a favor, look at your neighbor, tell them you too. We're grateful to see everybody here on today. And just the fact that you are here on today is radical resistance. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Reality is the only obligation and responsibility that we have is rejoice and be glad. God's already done the hard work. He made the day. Come on, somebody. And so we're here to rejoice and be glad. Thankful for all that surround me and are behind me that make up the National Action Network. We're thankful for their leadership and thankful for all that the Lord is doing for us on today. I honor my wife and my children that are here on today that's with me. Amen. Wave your hand back there. Hey, there's my daughter back there. That is a little girl. If I could invite your attention just for a few minutes to the book of Psalms, Psalms 137. Amen. Psalms 137, good to see you. Amen. Verse 1 through 9, it simply says, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hang our harps by the willows in the midst thereof, for they that carried us away captive required of us a song. And they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing one of those songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall we be that rewards you as you've served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes them against the stones. I want to draw your attention just for a few minutes. On September 24th, 1987, NBC shared and aired a television series that was focused on a young man that left the nestled comfort of Brooklyn, New York to an HBCU called Hillman down in Virginia. And the name of that television series was A Different World. I want to talk to you just for these few moments from It's a Different World. Let's pray. God in heaven, thank you for this time and opportunity. We give you glory and honor. Now we ask that you would be with us in these minutes and moments, and we promise to give your name glory and honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Zenith, the last American-made television, used to have a slogan that simply said this: the quality goes in before the name goes on. Y'all remember that too, okay? And what I've come to find, Mr. Richardson, is that when it comes to what is in us, most people don't know what it took for us to be who we are. They see the surface. Look, you are sitting next to somebody that don't even know what you had to go through to get here on this morning. You are sitting next to somebody who don't even understand your struggle, but we're here collectively celebrating that God has brought us this far and thus far together. They don't know it. They don't know what it takes for you to be who you are. They see you from the distance, but they don't know the tears that you've had to watch this couple in your eyes and the tears that you've had to wipe from your face just for you to still be here. Text picks us up right here with the children of Israel. They are sitting near the river, and the Bible says here in this text that they are mourning. See, by the rivers of Babylon, they're remembering the time back home. They are in a strange land, a foreign land. We know something about that. And they are mourning. They're weeping over the death of their loved ones. They're weeping over the loss of almost everything they own. They're weeping over the destroyed city of Jerusalem and her great temple. They're weeping over the agony of a forced march from Judea into Babylon. And the psalmist navigates us through all of the stages of grief. He goes through shock, denial, disorder, anger, guilt bargaining, distress, depression, loneliness, and withdrawal. My brothers and sisters, when I read through this, there was a stage of grief that I was missing. I had to go through it one more time. My brothers and sisters, I saw that the psalmist went through shock, denial, disorder, anger, guilt bargaining, distress, depression, loneliness, and withdrawal, but he never gets to the place of acceptance. And somebody here on today, though, and after all you've been through, you've hit some hard times, watch this, hit rock bottom, but decided that the one thing you will not do is accept where you are. I believe that God's got some great things in store for me, and sometimes I may have to cry, sometimes I may have to fight, sometimes I might get angry, but I refuse to accept. My current location will not be my final destination. The Bible says that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of your best haters the things that God has in store for you. I don't accept systemic racism. I don't accept economic inequality. I don't accept justice inequality. I don't accept food inequality. I don't accept health care inequality. I don't accept the criminalization of black and brown skin. I don't accept the pipeline from the prison, come on somebody, to the school, and from the school to the prison. I don't accept police brutality. And Richard Wright, he speaks of this dialectic in my last 3 minutes. He speaks of this dialectic of despair and defiant hope of the black existence. He says, though our pocketbooks were empty, our hearts were full of pain, yet African Americans did not let economic distress or mental anguish have the final say of their existence. And here I am here on this morning in the house of justice, reminding somebody, whatever your best and worst circumstance is, don't let it define you. Whatever your last failure was, don't let it define you. And the last time you failed should have just been the last time you got up, because I'm still looking to the hills from whence cometh my help, because all my help. Turn to your neighbor like they might owe you $5 and tell them, all my help comes from the Lord. Turn to somebody else, no matter the color eyes they put in on today, tell them, all my help, all my help comes from the Lord. Paul said it like this, I'm leaving. He said, we're distressed and troubled on every side, but not distressed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. We are still dreaming in the midst of an American nightmare. My brothers and sisters, I'm walking to my seat. Watch this. They were asking for songs, but they weren't liberating them. They were allowing them to perform. I'm talking to somebody here. But they weren't setting them free. And you got to be careful for people. Watch this. The Bible says that God is a very present help in the time of trouble. You got to be careful, because some people are just present, but they won't help. They will do everything that they can to make it appear that they're helping you, but they're not liberating you. They're just letting you perform. They said, let them play their songs. Let them play them songs. Let them play those good songs. Let them play their songs, my brothers and sisters. I'm leaving. Watch this. I just stopped by here to tell somebody I'm so grateful that after every hit that I've taken, every hit that you've taken, every oppression, every depression, that I've survived 100% of all my bad days. Come on, somebody. You're only here because you survived all those days. Every day that you thought you never lived past, you are still here. Somebody shout, you're still here. Still here by God's grace. And I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged. Here's why I'm encouraged, my brothers and sisters, because the Bible says that they hung their harps, but they didn't break their harps. Watch this. You may have gotten to the side sometimes, but pick your heart back up. The world needs your work. The world needs your fight. Get back in the race. God bless you.
Reverend Greg Merriweather, Senior Pastor, Calvary Baptist Church, Rockland County, New York, the Change Choir. That is a change, choir, brothers and sisters, under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson. Right now, I want you to get on your feet. At home, I want you to put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. All right. Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. Fist bump the person next to you. Tell them you love them. In the 1960s, students around the South began protesting segregation. In the low country part of South Carolina, there were students that fought against the segregated public accommodations and schools. One of the student leaders was arrested several times, fighting to make this nation live up to its creed. And that young student was brutalized, ignored. They told him that if you didn't be quiet, and if you didn't go along to get along, you'd never amount to nothing. But he kept on fighting, and he grew, and they got the right to vote there, and he was elected to office. And right now, he is the third person in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. His name is Congressman Jim Clyburn. And I remember the morning National Action Network had the breakfast, the minister's breakfast in Charleston, South Carolina in 2020 after the Democratic presidential debates the night before. And it was Jim Clyburn that came and brought Joe Biden.
And he told me at the breakfast, he said, Al, later this morning I'm going to endorse Biden. And when he did, Biden's luck turned. Biden had lost Iowa. He lost New Hampshire. But when he got to South Carolina, a black man that had been arrested as a black child turned his campaign around and made him the nominee and on to be the president of the United States. If you just be faithful over a few things, God will make you ruler over many, and you'll change your country. I was about 13 years old. I used to come up on the number 2 train, New Lodge train from Brownsville to go to see Adam Clayton Powell. And I remember they ridiculed Adam Powell. They called him all kinds of names. They dragged his name through the mud, excluded him from Congress, even though he had passed more legislation than any chairman of the House and Labor and Education Committee. But as I was headed here this morning, I reminded myself how in the end it doesn't matter what they do to you. God has a way, Lloyd Williams, of taking their negative and making it a positive. Because as I passed 138th Street today, remembering how I used to go to Abyssinia to see Adam Powell, I looked at the street sign, and anybody riding through Harlem got to ride down Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. If you just keep going, you'll change your country. Your change will come. Your change. Do you believe it? Your change will come. Your change. Oh, change will. Oh, change will. National Action Network Change Ensemble. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally, for you that are here live in the House of Justice, and for you that are listening to us live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and for you that are watching us on various platforms. We're happy to be here with you again to where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy, and our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And of course, give a drummer, give Brother Chris and the guitar player. Certainly we are this morning, give a hand to our inspirational speaker, Reverend Greg Merriweather. We are certainly, first and foremost, let me recognize and acknowledge, I'm glad that we have among us again former Congressman Kendrick Meeks in the House. And Brother Deveron Gibbons is in the House. Stand up, Deveron. When we had called the march in 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, and most folks was telling me, don't do it, We're gonna have a super spreader. Deborah went out and raised money to help the march. Y'all jump on them buses like somebody donate them buses. We have to pay for them buses. And Deborah went and raised a lot of money, raised about $75,000 to help us defer the cost of that march. So I'm glad that he's with us. I don't know why he's not sitting on the platform. Ain't nobody up here raised 75 grand like he did. He should have Ponder's seat. We give him another hand. First, let me say that we join many in our community as we mourn the passing of Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts. And we had been announcing here last several weeks about his illness, and he passed night before last, really yesterday morning, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And for 33 years, he pastored the historic Abyssinian Baptist Church and served in his way our community. And let me tell you, I tell you all the time that we all have different lanes. And if everybody stay in their lane, we all headed the same place. And a lot of the media came to me, some of you probably saw it. And I said, yeah, Calvin and I didn't always agree, but we always got back together. And you know, his politics and mine was different, but there was never a lack of respect I had for his commitment, his diligence, and his consistency. We don't have to agree as long as we all headed the same way. If I were to leave here and say we're going down to Central Park, you may take Malcolm X Boulevard, somebody else may take Adam Clay Powell Boulevard, some may take the FDR Drive. It does not matter if all of us are headed to Central Park. And a lot of us get caught up too much in the different tactics rather than the goal, which is why we get in trouble. If you study the right way, they all don't get along, but they all are trying to take back our voting rights. And this week, affirmative action in front of the same court. They know how to get together. That's how they stack the Supreme Court. And we must have the same maturity to fight them. Like we deal with crisis here, I tell people all the time, let's welcome our Impact Television family joining us. I tell people here, there's no one case more important than another. I'm dealing with one case right now, the Queen's Day, that's getting me angry with them because they keep stalling on something. And I'm subject to just go back into my medallion days and go out there. Because, you know, some things, I don't care whether they think it's important or not. If I make commitment to people, it's important to me. And that's where we've got to be, and I want us to salute the legacy and life of all of them. I remember about 4 weeks ago, I looked and they were opening the side door and I was in the middle of speaking, and I don't like a whole lot of moving when I'm speaking because I remember that's how they got Malcolm. But as soon as it kind of came clear they were wheeling Reverend Jesse Jackson in, who was surprising us being here that morning, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And after the rally, some of y'all were here, after the rally he said to me he wanted to go to Sylvia's to eat. And I said, well, you know, I don't eat that soul food stuff no more, but I'll take you. And we took him and Dominic and Ashley and me and some of his assistants and all. And I told him while we were sitting there eating that Reverend Butts was suffering and was doing pretty bad. And he said, get him on the phone. And you know, Reverend Jackson dealing with Parkinson doesn't speak as clearly. And I got him on the phone and I let him talk with Reverend Butts. And he said, Reverend Butts, he said, you hold on, you're a national treasure. And Reverend Butts thanked him, and when I come back home, he said, Al, you hear him tell I'm a national treasure? And that was the last time I ended up talking with Reverend Butts. That's about 4 or 5 weeks ago. We exchanged text messages since then. And I thought about it. I talked to Reverend Jackson this morning, how the irony of it is that in the last 3 years, he and I co-chaired the Choose Healthy Life, fighting against COVID in our community. And at the end of his journey, that we ended up back working together, no matter what. And I think that it is clearly an indication of how the community needs to come together and be together. And I want our community to know that there is no one that can replace the stature, the gravitas, and contribution of Reverend Calvin Butts to the National Action Network. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. Also, we mourn in the Nan family the passing of Barbara Johnson, who passed this week. Used to be, she's a lifetime member and was a treasure in our women's auxiliary. She passed, and then many of you know one of the brothers that helped right around the House of Justice, Al Gentry, passed this week. Shocked all of us. So we have mourning, but we also owe it to those, from Dr. Butts to Al Gentry to Barbara, to keep the struggle going. Because at the end of the day, all of us leaving here. I don't care who you are, how important you think you are. All of us have a day coming. And what is going to matter at the end is what we did with the days we had. Every day you write your own obituary. That's why I tell people all the time, the congressman and I were out last night talking. At the end of the day, you're going to write the first paragraph of your obituary. Because I'm going to tell y'all a secret. Most folk are not going to read your whole obituary. They're going to look at the first sentence and and keep going. Even the preacher sometimes don't read it. Walking to the pulpit, we read the first paragraph sometimes. I don't know about you, Meriwether, but sometimes I read the first paragraph. Okay, I got it. All that other stuff that you explaining about your life, most folk ain't going to read it. They certainly not going to care what kind of house you had, what kind of car you drove, what kind of awards you had on the wall. None of that going to matter. That first paragraph is going to define what you did in life. So-and-so was this, did that. That's it. And if that don't read right, then your life does not have meaning. So every day we're faced with whatever our daily challenges are. But how you respond to them ought to be in line with the legacy you want to leave when you leave here. You want somebody to be able to say that your coming this way made a difference. That you mattered and you were involved in things that matter. But so many times we are so caught up in our own little world that we do things that don't matter to nobody but us. So when you die, it don't matter to nobody but you. You know, it's a shame when folk die and you get the call, you know, so-and-so died. Oh yeah, ain't that something? Now what you eating tonight for dinner? You ought at least have lived a life that is worthy of discussion. That's what I told y'all the other week. Don't be asking me to preach your funeral if you ain't done nothing. I'm busy that day, I tell you now. Because I'm not going to get up making up stuff for you. Get up lying over a dead body. Make your family think you did something you didn't do. And let me tell you something, the only way you will be living a worthy life is if you calculate every day what is the meaning of your life. I do morning thoughts on the gram, they call it, the Instagram, every day. And one of the things I talked about is there is a difference, Brother Kendrick, between dreamers and illusionists. I keep meeting folk now that are engaged in illusions, not dreams. That to say you want to do something that is not practical or possible is not a dream, that's an illusion. Martin Luther King had an achievable dream. Some of y'all have a non-achievable illusion. Like today, early voting started in New York. On the ballot is racial equity. You had Jennifer Jones Austin and others that are projecting that talked about it, that you flip the ballot. Don Jones went through detail this morning on voting, and they're having sessions here about voting. You can talk all you want about, well, we want to do this, that, or the other for only blacks. That's an illusion. You ain't gonna do nothing in the democratic process for just blacks. Just like some of y'all say you lead and speak for the grassroots. That's an illusion. I speak for the grassroots. No, you speak for yourself. Y'all ain't listening to the grassroots. What makes you more grassroots than anybody else? Your illusion. You get these illusions in your head rather than getting dreams that this is what I'd like to see done and fight to make that real. Martin Luther King had a dream, stood in Washington August 28, 63, said about a dream that blacks would get equality, that blacks would get in positions of power, and they fought and made that dream more of a reality. But many of us are dealing in illusions. You got an illusion about who you are, an illusion of how important you are. Like I said, people talk about, I lead the masses, and the masses don't even know you. The fact is that we need all of us to deal with the reality. Let me tell you something. When Dawn was talking this morning about voting, one of the things that occurs to me is how hard we had to fight, not only to get the right to vote, then to get early voting. So you have no excuse not to vote. Right now in this country, right as soon as the broadcast is over, I'm going to Philadelphia. I spent some time this week in Maryland, some time before that in Ohio. They're showing this documentary on me at the Philadelphia Film Festival this afternoon, so I'm rushing right out here to go there and I'm going to speak. And you that are watching in Philly, is at the Philadelphia Film Center, 1412 Chestnut Street. And then in the morning, I'll be preaching at Bright Hope Baptist Church at 1601 North 12th Street. That's the church that former Congressman Bill Gray pastored. And so I'm be in Pennsylvania for the next 2 days. They got a race there. What we facing in this country, anytime we're in a climate where a man would be bold enough to break in the house of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Now I want y'all to get that, because some of us just watch the news like we watching soap operas. This is real. This man had the audacity to break in the house of Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, and say to her 82-year-old husband in the middle of the night, where is Nancy? Now, if you link that right back to January 6th, January 6th, where they stormed the Capitol. Where's Nancy? You are dealing in a climate now where they have no regard for anything. And if you and I don't stand up and vote, they will be in charge of this U.S. government. Now, you're in New York, I want y'all to flip the ballot and vote for racial equity. Because we need to be able to examine and judge and monitor cost of living, racial equity, where we are, where we not. We can vote about it. You don't have to guess about it. We can vote about it. But you around the country, we need to vote like we never voted before. Well, I ain't sure about everybody running. Well, you should have got sure before now. Because let me tell you something about it. Next Tuesday, the 8th, whoever wins is going to decide your life for the next several whatever. And the fact you don't like them don't mean a thing to them. We must always be cognizant of history. That's why I like to always talk to people that have a sense of history. Because sometimes you can be off base. That's why I talked about illusions and dreams. Sometimes you can be off base on history. So you don't understand where you are in history. Lloyd Williams, stand up, Lloyd, head of Harlem Chamber of Commerce. Lloyd was Malcolm X's godson. So a lot of times Lloyd and I will talk about the drive from the generations ahead of us to where we are now, so that you will understand your role in the link before you and to lead it to the link behind you. Now, and then we sit with our elders and glean from them. Attorney Hardy and some of our elders sit and explain it to us. Good morning, Attorney Hardy. We were brought here enslaved 1619. From 1619 to 1863, we were legally and formally enslaved. Is that right? You talk about all you want, who was the best slave, who was the most talented slave, who was the most gifted slave, who was the singing slave, who was the buck dancing slave, who made the best biscuits, and who made the best gravy. It don't matter. They were all slaves. That was the status of our people. They had all kinds of slaves. Singing slaves, cooking slaves, dancing slaves, preaching slaves. Only kind of slave I ever wanted to be was a runaway slave. And today, we comparing disadvantaged people, how we operate and how we deal, rather than dealing with our state of disadvantage. It is critical that we understand where we are. So we went from 1619 to 1863, formal slavery. We went then from 1863, 12 years of Reconstruction, gave us the right to vote, gave us the right to be educated. And that was an area of, a term that was called Reconstruction, an era called Reconstruction. Went from Reconstruction to where they turned on us to use the Supreme Court to 100 years of Jim Crow, all the way from 1897, Plessy versus Ferguson, to the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954. From 1954 on until the end of the 60s. We were fighting for the right to vote, public accommodations, and to be treated equally. From then into the 60s, we went in the era of black power all the way to Black Lives Matter. To use all of that to give us equal standing for what we pay taxes and what we built the country never got paid. Now we're in the 21st century. You use the black power and the civil rights era to elect black presidents, elect black mayors and all. Now what are we going to do to sustain what we got and build economic power where we own the communities that we live in? That's where we at. And sitting around having pity parties. Talk about, oh, they ain't gonna do nothing for us. They never did. We always had to stand up and do what it was going to be done for ourselves. Sometimes people helped us, but nobody gonna do for you more than you gonna do for yourself. They are not in charge of your future. You are. And if you allow them, they're going to have all kind of distractions. I preached in Atlanta. And I told them, I said, first of all, you ought to be insulted that they got somebody like Herschel Walker. But what it is let me explain something to y'all. Donald Trump, I know Donald Trump 40 years. We fought over Central Park 5. Carl White sitting in the audience, one of them. Fought over housing. Donald Trump tried to get halfway cordial when he had the exclusivity of the Atlantic City Convention Center. In Atlantic City, Kendrick meets, they have the convention center. Donald Trump had bought and built some casinos there. Wanted a convention center because he would run his Miss America contest there. And he wanted to get into boxing because he needed attractions in the center. Hottest thing in boxing at the time was Mike Tyson. Ordered to deal with Mike Tyson, he had to deal with Don King. Don King told him, well, I don't need no problems out of Reverend Al, and that's why I dealt with Donald Trump. Donald Trump had a theory, a business model that they use in the record business and everywhere else, is that if you got a black fighter, black champion, get a black to get in the ring. And they didn't care whether the guy could fight or not if he could sell tickets. I don't care who the champ was. They would put a stiff in the ring if he could sell tickets. It is that same psychology that's going on in Georgia. Got a black man's a senator, Raphael Warnock, or just put a black in the ring. Oh, that black there, he played football, everybody know his name, put him in the ring. Don't even question whether he know policy, know legislation, know that the earth is not flat but round. Just put him in the ring. And you ought to be insulted by that. You ought to have a dignity level. But they got the polls tied. Because if Herschel could win, it says to them, any black that takes our instruction is enough. All they want to do is see somebody black. That's why supporters ask me all week last 2 weeks about Kanye West. First of all, y'all the one brought Kanye up in the White House. Y'all ran him for president. Y'all told Kanye he had political muscle. Y'all had him sitting around with a MAGA hat. Y'all had him as saying he was the most influential couple in the world when he was married to Kim Kardashian. Then when he imploded in your face, don't come asking me about it. I knew he was going to embarrass y'all. That's why I went out there with him. Because once you make him think he all that, he think he can talk about gays and Jews and everybody else, because y'all made him think he that important. We've never had a movement that was led by folks that just entertained us. Look at the history now. Civil rights movement, Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier and them supported Dr. King. They didn't lead the March on Washington. Max Roach, Abraham Lincoln supported Malcolm. They wasn't the keynote speaker in the Audubon Ballroom. But you done got in the 21st century where you got the rappers telling the leaders to shut up. That are not accountable to nobody. Leaders are accountable to their organizations. Rappers are accountable to the record companies that have nothing to do with us. Don't get it twisted. I had rappers do songs against me, don't mean nothing to me. Because the folk that's out here in the grind, in the struggle with me, don't listen to them. Music guy said to me, you hear so-and-so made a rap against you, heard about it, don't mean nothing. Not one person called my radio show talk about it, because who they rapping to ain't in the movement nohow. But I tell you one thing, if a policeman break in their house, they don't call that rapper, they call me. Don't get it twisted. We must understand that we have a duty to our time in history to go and vote like we never did before to stop these people from what they are not only trying to do, are doing. You got black Capitol Police that they attacked and injured. One finally got a lot of time the other day. They go from whipping black Capitol Police on video. Don't miss the fact that they were not only chanting "Where's Nancy" and desecrating the officers. They were literally walking around with gallows, looking for Mike Pence, their own vice president. And they were there to overthrow the certification of an election. He was a member of Congress. He'd tell you, an election is decided on election day, but it is not certified until it goes before the Congress, is presented, and they vote and certify the election. The reason they chose January 6th is that was the day to certify it. They were there to disrupt the certification. So Trump could then step back and say, well, we have no government, hasn't been certified, I'm still the president. If there is 2 seats change in the Senate, if there are 9 seats change in the House of Representatives, some of the people that support that will be in charge of your life. So as big and bad as you think you are, they got a big and bad holding cell for you when they come with different crime acts. And as saved and sanctified as you think you are, and you ain't into politics, they got a cell for you too. You can tarry all night long. You just won't be tarrying at home. You'll be in the joint or visiting your children. They will make laws and have law enforcement that will profile all of us. I'm telling you before it happens that they got people running that's denying a certified election. They got people like this woman, Margaret Taylor Greene, that's outright saying outrageous stuff. These people are not joking. They are putting people in power over you, and we sitting around not prepared to fight back when all you got to do is begin by using a vote that people fought to give you, and somebody got to beg you to do it. If you can vote early today in New York, if you can vote early wherever you're watching me around the country, vote today.
Yes, sir.
Anything might happen. You might get a cold tomorrow. We are on the precipice of this country going back again 100 years. That's why I gave you that history. We had Reconstruction until the next administration got in and said they changed their mind. Can you imagine now, you've been a slave. You've been robbed of any rights. Against the law for you to read and write, you can't marry your wife, can't raise your children, can't name them after you. All of a sudden they have a civil war, you fight, you win. Now you can vote, now you can marry your wife, now you can name your child, and 12 years later they take all that back. If they did that then, if the wrong crowd gets in now, they can take back the life that you and I have been accustomed to. Well, Reverend, you just talking, okay. This week, they are having oral arguments in the Supreme Court about affirmative action.
Yes, sir.
This week. They're going to argue in the Supreme Court about whether race can be a factor in admissions to college. What do I mean by that? There was a time that race had to be considered because they wanted to undo the racial exclusion and racial bigotry that kept blacks out of higher schools of learning. They changed that law and said, well, no, race can't be the factor. It can be one of many factors. They got arguments this week that race cannot even be one of many factors. What does that mean? That if this court, which is 6-3 right wing, if this court votes that, then there is no longer the question of race in your applications to go to college. So that means we cannot then go to any university, how many blacks you got, how many Latinos you got, how many this, no, we can't ask that no more. So you can go right back to all white universities because there's no way of measuring it. All right, fine, you ain't going to college. Let me tell you where they go with that. They will take the legal precedent of that.
Yes, sir.
And say that race should not be a factor at your job.
That's right.
Race should not be a factor for municipal employees or state employees or private sector employees. And many of us right now are working because they had to hire a certain amount of us. They will use this precedent to go after a race across the board because they never wanted race to be a factor. How was race made a factor? We made it a factor. Nobody got up one day and said, let's be nice to Negroes. We got up and marched and went to jail, and some lost their lives and made us a factor. And now in the wake of all of this, you're going to factor yourself out? That's why I challenge my colleagues in the ministry. What are you preaching about? There would be no preacher in the time of Moses that wasn't talking about the exodus of slaves. There would be none that dealt in times of challenge that did not deal with the challenge of the times. We cannot sit here at a time that we are living in and act like the Bible is irrelevant to these times. The Bible is a book to tell you how to deal with oppression and exploitation. That's what the Bible is about. That's why the Bible talks about Moses leading a liberation struggle against those slave masters. That's why the Bible is about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did not go in the fiery furnace because they didn't go to prayer meeting. They stood up to Nebuchadnezzar. They engaged in civil disobedience. They disobeyed the laws of the state. And you're afraid to preach it. And you're afraid to teach it. Well, then how you claim that God is with you if you're afraid to stand up and do what God would want us to do in these times? Don't tell me about faith. Show me some faith. Well, I ain't involved in that. Then what are you involved in? God put you in these times, this era, this situation, to speak to these people. And you up entertaining them. Performance preaching. Just get up talking a lot of soaring language that has nothing to do with the lives of the people you're talking to. It's enough to make me sick. I'm tired of these preachers avoiding reality. We can have different ways of doing it, but we can't not preach what's real and apply it to our people and the situation we at now. That's why a lot of preachers, they ain't preach no more, Meriwether. They just get up, entertain, tell folks slap each other. Say God is good. Slap 3 neighbors and say God's good. I don't need to slap nobody. I want you to hear what you got to say. If you have nothing to say, sit down. I need 5 people to slap somebody behind me. You slap me, you already slap back. Give me a word. Question was, is there a word from God? In these times, they will decide Tuesday after next who will go to Washington and decide whether or not race is a factor, because they're going to decide confirming Supreme Court justices continually going forward. They will decide voting regulations. They will decide levels of poverty. They will decide your jobs, your income. They will decide all of what we're talking. They will decide conservation. Talk about conservation ain't a black issue. You live on the planet, don't you? Well, I don't want to talk about climate change. You walk around in short pants, October 29th, there is something going on. That's why your fur coat's still in the closet. You don't believe in global warming, go get your fur coat and walk down Lenox Avenue and see if everybody look at you like you done lost your mind. We have got to be serious, and we've got to be on this seriously. And we need to be real clear about that. How do they get us to go against our interests? We are seduced into going against our interests. Look in the Bible. Everybody that God used was tested. I want y'all to hear this and I'm going to let you go. The reason why many of you cannot do what you want to do, feel that you should do, but don't do, is you can't pass the test of being and doing what you should be about. You want to graduate without a test. You can't go to the next grade in school without passing the test. You go to first grade through sixth grade, pass tests to go on to junior high school. If you can't pass the test, you get left back. And the reason that many of you have not done what you're supposed to do in your life is you keep flunking the test in life. How do I know? Because you tell me yourself, well, you know, right now everything was all right, but I didn't get the deal I wanted. That was your test. You're not tested by success, you're tested by failure. So if you fail, now we're going to see if you can pass the test to go ahead anyhow. Your determination is tested by your rejection. It's when you don't get everything easy, when nobody's on your side, when nobody's patting you on the back, when nobody's saying you can make it, when nobody's saying I'm with you. That's when you test it. If you got everybody on your side, that ain't no test. If you got everybody saying you can make it, that is no test. If you got everybody saying I'm with you, that's no test. Your test is when you left by yourself. Nobody on your side. No help in view. And yet you say, God, I still believe that you'll make a way, even if I got to go by myself. That's how you pass that test. But they seduce you. If you show your strength and you pass one or two tests, watch this, they find your weakness. We talking the other night. That's why when they asked Jesus in the Bible, teach us how to pray, one of the things he said is against temptation, protect me from temptation. He didn't avoid that because he knows temptation. They tried to tempt Jesus. Yeah. They brought Jesus up on the mountain and said, you bow. Yeah. We give you the kingdoms of the world. If you've not been tempted, then you never passed a test where you are of value. Once you are of value, once you get somewhere that matters, they say, okay, we can't discourage them, so we will tempt them with their weakness. Story of Samson. Samson was Bethlehem. They fought the Philistines. Samson born with the Herculean strength. They could not beat Samson. They didn't put a gladiator in the ring with Samson. He was stronger than them. So they had to find his weakness. And his weakness is Delilah. They didn't ease up Mike Tyson next to him. They sent Delilah. They saw they couldn't knock him down. They saw they couldn't knock him out. But Delilah could get him. And they showed Delilah, the Philistine sent her now. They said, find the source of his strength. And the person that can seduce you will find out what makes you you. And will find out what will unmake you. Oh, you shouldn't take that. They ain't giving you your due. You ain't got enough influence. You ain't making enough money. You ain't got enough power. They will be looking for your weakness. They don't call your name enough. And you be, oh, that's all right. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, but I went with you to church and they didn't even act like you was there. Then all of a sudden they found your weakness. Oh, really? They ignored me. Oh, that's where we go in. That's your weakness. Everybody's name called but yours. Weakness. And Delilah messed around with Samson until she found out his strength was in his hand. And she didn't knock him out. She didn't run 5 miles a day and outfight him. She waited for him to go to sleep and cut his hair off. And I come to tell you today, there is a Delilah in your life. Somebody that manipulates your weakness. And you think they your friend, they are your Delilah. I don't know what you get up going to rally for. I don't know what you voting for. I don't know what you doing this, that. That's Delilah. They fought to give you the right to vote. But Delilah tell you, you don't need to be voting. It don't matter, they got it rigged anyway. Delilah sweet talks you into your weakness. Delilah don't tell you that they're your enemy. Delilah is your mistress. You hug her, you love her. Because she tells you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. And whispers sweet nothings in your ear. That's who Delilah is. Once they find out your strength is passing those tests. Your strength is every round goes higher and higher. Your strength is that I'm going to do what's right for me and my community anyhow. But when they find that weakness, they have you out there by yourself and you will not understand how you got there. Because they found the source of your strength. That's the reason why Lloyd Williams, through it all, we still here. They got the documentary out on me. I've been indicted, I've been prosecuted, I've been stabbed. I'm still here because they cannot figure out the source of my strength. The source of my strength wasn't in the White House, wasn't in City Hall. And it wasn't that I was hiding it from you. I told you I was a boy preacher. And God called me when I was 4 years old. And he's been the source of my strength. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for a 4-year-old boy to stand up and preach in front of hundreds of people. But he was the source of my strength. And he told me that if you stand up, I don't care how old you get, if you stand up, I'll hold you up. If you make one step, I'll make two. He is the source of my strength. Shoot your best shot, but you are not dealing with me. There's a God that walks with me and talks with me. And when the whole world turned on me, he never left me. He never left me alone. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own. Jesus is the source of my strength. He's the source of my strength. That's why I'm going to fight. I know that they're violent. I know they got threats out. But there is a God that still sits high and he looks down low. He's got all power in his hand. The Lord will make a way. Yes, he will. Lord will make a way. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
I know the Lord will make a way. Oh, yes, he will. I know the Lord will make a way. Oh, yes, he will. Oh, he'll make a way.
like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. I'm gonna open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today listens to us on the radio, watches us on television, and never joined National Action Network. If you're here today and never joined, all you have to do is come down to me and we'll sign you up and make you a member right now. If you're watching on television or listening on the radio, you can call 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and you can join right on over the phone or go online to nationalactionnetwork.net. But if you're here in the auditorium and not a member, just come to me. Let's make you a member right this morning. Everybody's singing. Come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. All right. Let me get ready to raise our offering. I really want everybody. We're going to be sending out for the next few days people all over the country to get people to come out and vote, whoever they're going to vote for. So I want you to give in a special way this morning. I want to be able to transport people to and from the polls and do things that we don't have necessarily in our regular budget. So I want everybody to give. You that are listening, go online right now to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. You can give right online. I rarely ask for extra help, but I want you to do that. This election is so important. And your $5, $10, $20, $30, whatever you can do, go right online and at nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net, and give what you can. I want to get ready to give our offering right here in the House of Justice. You can tell people's sincerity in any field by where their treasure lies. And if you talk but don't put any of your treasure behind your talk, you don't mean what you're saying. I'm in the movement. Well, if you make good money and never give no money to the movement, you're not in the movement. You're just using the movement for whatever other reasons that your personality needs. So I want you to give like you're really in the movement. I want to start with about 10 people here in the auditorium that give $100 or more to come quickly, at least 10. Guardians, $100. Guardians, $100. I need 9 more. Come on. Minister Winston Gilchrist, $100. Kendrick Meeks, come on, y'all work with me. Kendrick Meeks, $100. Devron Gibbons, $100. Valerie Williams and Lloyd Williams, $100. Sylvia Stephens, $100. Mayor Rodney Jones of the Queensbridge Houses, $100. Carolyn Jones, $100. Darrell Houston Sr., $100. Diana Dunbar, $100. All right. All right. Come on, 50s, 50s, 50s. You didn't have 50. Brother David got on a new one today. I ain't seen that track. Got black piping. I like that. Brother Mallory, $50. Sister Isaline Parsons, been with us for years, $50. Come on, 50, 50, 50. 20s, 20s, 20s. All right. It's all set. Come on, 20s, 20s. Now everybody, $1, $5, $10, whatever you have, come on, whatever you have. All right, we're going to take in our new members, and we're going to dismiss early. I got to hit the road to get to Pennsylvania, so let's move quickly. Let's move quickly. I've got to get there. All right. All right, when I call your name, raise your hand. Monique White and Courtney Rochelle Locust. All right, we welcome both of you to National Action Network. We are glad you stepped forward, and we embrace you. We need you. We want your ideas, your thoughts, your participation. You are as full-fledged a member now as if you came 31 years ago when we started. So we want you to work with us, be with us. We're a family now, and we are glad you joined the family. Face the audience and welcome them. Welcome them. Welcome them to the National Action Network. Give them a hand. Give them a hand. All right, we're going to get ready to dismiss. I'm going to try to fist bump with a few hands, but I got to get in the car and get to Philly. Stand right here so we keep the line moving. Let us all stand. Amen. and grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I Repeat after me, we're an African people, robbed of our name, our language, our families, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race, we can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fist bump with the one you standing next to.